knew too much. They could not be fooled anymore, in other words, because now they knew, now because their consciousness was open, they had more awareness. They knew now that they were naked. They were naked in the garden, being naked all this while and living and being happy and communing with God, right? God of the Bible, right? Communing with God, the Bible in the Garden of Eden, and having good times and enjoying, right? When they ate the apple, the original sin apparently, their eyes were open to the reality that yes, I am naked, and there's something called being naked. Now your awareness was now wide open. Okay, it's like a child who's told a fable or told a story, and then later on in their life they realize that that story is not true. Like, for example, the tooth fairy, for example, Christmas, for the Christmas and stuff like that. Guys, it's all about awakening and understanding. Is it necessarily a bad thing or good thing? What is it? Is it a sin for a person to realize that yes, I am naked now and I know more, and I know who you are, God, that you are the great, and I know that I also have powers like you as well. That you and I have the same abilities, although then, okay, see, this is what I'm thinking. This is my own opinion, right? My opinion, guys. It's not about what it's truth collectively seen, but it's my opinion, how I view it. When these two had their eyes open, they had realization. Now they were almost as equal as God. You understand? So now they kicked them out. They said, "Oh, no more children." It's like, for example, I've got kids, I've got two kids, right? They're grown ups now, right? When a child comes of age, you cannot even control or tell that person what to do anymore. It's the same type of concept. These two, Adam and Eve, matured and became of age, basically, and their eyes were open. That's what the story says in a figurative way. That's why I'm getting to understand it, okay? It's like a parent and a child. Okay, remember that a child is depending on you for everything, for food, for wellness, for comfort, for acceptance, for everything, right? For everything. As it grows up, right, it's gonna come a time when it's gonna step away from you. It becomes independent. The story of Adam and Eve and the garden, for me, is like they were children, they were young, they were being nurtured by God, and then they had an awakening, had maturity, and they had to now go and fend for themselves. Like how your children in your homes will be brought up by you, taken care by you, nurtured by you, educated by you. With how, I mean, when I'm saying educated, I mean the teachings that you teach your children in a home. Be respectful, have a clean house, how to cook, how to serve others, because in families we're serving each other. In families you are serving each other in the family. Okay, that's how it works. So you're teaching your child all those things, that the house must be clean, there must be respect here, there must be consideration, there must be compassion here, and there must be understanding. Okay, right. Now when a child is old enough, and now they old enough to leave the nest, leave the home, leave at the Garden of Eden and go out, they need to now graduate and move out. Not necessarily kicked out. So the Bible says they were kicked out. For me, it was time for them to move on, to experience better, because they were now matured beings now. Their awakening was open. Is that a sin? Is it a sin when your child grows up and gets to know things in life that yes, I'm now naked? I understand myself. It's an I construct that was created. These two beings started developing the I. They were not now enmeshed on God anymore. God has taught them a lot. Now it's time for them to move on. You see, remember, when you read the Bible and understand these Bible stories, you now sing it from your awareness. 15 years ago, 10 years ago, I never think like this, but now I have a different understanding that in life there has to be an ending and there has to be a beginning. And when a person decides, well, I'm now leaving your house, is it a sin? Or is it a sin when you tell me you need to move out my house now, you've grown up, you need to go and experience life somewhere and go build your own life? So Adam and Eve now left the garden, they get kicked out of the garden, and they went to go fend for themselves. They went to go fend for themselves, meaning that when you say in the Bible, it mentioned they go fend for themselves, so they must not be punished or whatever or hurt by any other person. That means that Adam and Eve were not necessarily the only people at that time. There were other beings, other people there as well. Now you're going to fend for yourself. You're going to go and live. And you listen to the story very well, right? Adam and Eve then were the only people that made children, apparently. They made like all these children to fill the whole earth at that time. Just the two people. Okay, and there's children's children. Like, remember, okay, how many kids did people have at that time? 10 children, 12 children. You know, when you think about it, think when you try and look at it in the Christian teachings in the Bible, it's good for you to question it. But then again, you can only question it when you realize that you're not lesser than that God, that you have the power and authority to ask, because the Bible even said so. I've given you the power of the tongue, life and death in your tongue. I'm giving you the power to trample over scorpions and stuff like that, right? All that is said in the Bible, but Christians don't grasp that part. They're so caught up in it. I'm so much lesser than this God. I'm a mere sinner. The sinner mentality is still here in your head. You still feel yourself that somehow you cannot be bold and brave because you are a mere sinner, right? You cannot be bold and brave because you're a mere sinner. That's where the problem comes in, okay? So now the first part, I said that Christianity believe that you a sinner comes from the doctrine of the original sin, right? The idea that humanity inherited the fallen nature from Adam and Eve, fallen nature from Adam and Eve, because these two dared to do something that they were not supposed to do, right? The original intention was to remind people of their need for God's grace, to encourage humility and forgiveness and repentance. Right now, if you are born a sinner because of Adam and Eve's disgrace or fall, right? Then how are you gonna work your way out of this concept that you're a sinner? By you serving God all your life, by you lessering yourself all your life, by you being so having low self-esteem. Because when I tell my child, as soon as they excuse me, um, if you tell your child as soon as they are born that you're a sinner, that you need to serve me, right? You need to obey me. It causes a problem to their child's self-esteem. Okay, it causes a problem to the child's self-esteem, and you tell the child that he or she's a mere sinner when they haven't even started living yet. Okay, remember, in Christianity, a person's only accountable for their actions at the age of 7. Okay, if you inherited Adam and Eve's sin, that means from birth you were already a sinner before you even created an I construct, before you even knew who you are. Because now, remember, when you're a baby, you're learning from your parents, you're learning from your society, your family is your society, your environment where you live is your society, right? That's your little micro society. That's your family, right? You're learning from them. Now you're learning as you become a toddler. You're learning that, okay, there's an I, and I have needs, and it's other people's needs, and all those things. You're learning all those things, how to be human, okay? But then you already a sinner. You're really seen as somebody who's a sinner, right? And then, according to the Christian Bible and Christian teachings, right, coming from the Jewish teachings, okay, at the age of 7, you now can be punished or judged by God for all the wrong things or the right things that you're doing, okay? Go do your research on that concept. When I found out about that, I found it very interesting. Hi, Vernon. Hi, Africa. Is it Africa? Okay, somebody said, oh, it was Mkhizi. Africa will never unite, so you will only talk about God on your channel. Oh, you know what, sweetie pie? There's Africa and there's individuals in Africa. I'm an individual in Africa. You an individual in Africa. If we have this idea that Africa will never unite, right, individually, that means that individually we're creating that. Once we change that perception and say that yes, there is a possibility that Africa can unite, then we're creating another history, and I mean another future, sweetie pie. You understand? Whatever you say and believe now creates you of the future. Okay, we're constantly creating the future. So if you have no hope now, you are creating and responsible for a future with no hope. You understand? I speak now, and many like myself are speaking now because we have hope. There's going to be an African revolution and African unity, African change, a change in Africa and in a change globally. Okay, because Africa cannot separate itself from the rest of the world, right? Africa cannot separate itself from the rest of the world. There are many other social media influencers, pastors, and sometimes even preachers, speaking about the uniting Africa. And how can we do that? To understand that the religion, right, was brought to us as something to control Africa. But now remember, whatever you were given, use that thing to work for you. Take what works for you within religion and take what works with you within spirituality and use it to work for your good, for the good of all, for the good of all mankind, not only Africa. You understand? Because I can tell you, I can guarantee you that even if you're not living in Africa, you're having problems wherever you are, you're having challenges where you are, right? You can be in Europe, you can be in America, you can be everywhere. Have you seen what's going on currently in America with the drama with the Trump and all those things that are going on? That's their own karma that they're now reaping from all the things that they've been doing. You understand? Because when your leaders do something and the rest of the people don't do anything to change it, don't voice their opinion about it, right? You're saying yes, right? And because of that, there's something called karma. The cause and effects will come about. You understand? Remember that every master falls down sometime or the other. Every master will have to fall down because time goes down. Now, America being the master of the world and democracy being the master of the world has to fall, it has to change, it has to have a change. So change is something that's inevitable, but it all depends on us. But if you all say that no, we can talk and talk and talk, Africa will never change or never unite. That means we're actually creating it. It's what you want, my love. Do you want Africa to never ever unite? If you want the better, you want us to improve as the world, as Africa in totality, let us speak into it. Let us continue speaking into it, right? Because our voices is an energy, our words are energy, our thoughts are energy, our intentions are powerful. You understand? There's always a room for change, depending on if are we ready for the change. Are we ready for the change? There's always room for the change. One person said that the reason why Africa won't change is that Africa people are afraid of death. People are afraid of losing what they have. You are even the ones that are powerful that can make the change are afraid to use what they have so they can make a change because they're afraid of death, death of their positions, death of their wealth. Because remember that there are people that are benefiting, even Africans that are benefiting from the oppression of Africa and all third world countries. You understand? Like how it was in the slave trade, there were slave trade black families that were benefiting from selling the slaves to the Western powers. You understand? Right? So we need to understand that there's a lot of gray areas when you look at these things. A lot of gray areas. The question is, the majority of the people are there raising their voices up because your power is here in your throat. Your throat chakra is very powerful because it's your expression, and your solar plexus is where your energy is coming from, your expression. If you keep quiet and think, okay, it's never going to change because what I'm seeing now is never going to change, and what's happening in the past shows it's never going to change, then you are creating a future equal to the now and the past. You are saying, yes, I'm happy with the situation, with the status quo. Okay, let me continue with my topic here. Right, now remember that the doctrine of original sin is coming from the sin of the Adam and Eve, original sin. Okay, the doctrine of original sin is central Christian teachings, right?